Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today, kids and childlike. We are going to tell a story today, and I'd like, if you want, you can join me. We're going to need a pillow or a cushion in just a minute. I don't know if you can think of a time when you have been afraid, or if there's something that scares you, like yesterday, Josiah and Selah and Elishaba picked up a snake when we were on our walk, and I did not touch it. So what is something that scares you, or a time when you were afraid? In our story today, which is in Mark chapter 4, which is just a couple of pages over from Mark 10, our story from last week, the disciples were afraid. And we're also going to hear about Jesus in this story. So, Jesus and his disciples were with a crowd of people, surrounded by crowds. And so Jesus decided, let's go to the other side of the sea or the lake. And so they got in their boat. Can you join me by getting in your boat? We're in our little boat. And in our little boat, it's peaceful and we're riding, and oh no, guys. Oh no, there's a storm. There's a storm and the boat is rocking and the boat is rolling and the waves are crashing in on our faces maybe and filling up the boat. And we're afraid we're going to fall out. And where is Jesus? What is Jesus doing? Jesus is asleep in the boat. So the disciples go and wake Jesus up. Jesus, don't you know that we are going to drown? What do you think Jesus is going to do? Is he going to get out a paddle and start rowing? Or is he going to try and steer the boat so that they can get out of the storm? Or he maybe will take a bucket and try and get the water out of the boat? Jesus gets up and he speaks, but not to the disciples. Jesus speaks to the wind and the waves. I don't know about you, but when I speak to things that don't normally talk back to me, nothing happens. I speak to my cat, and the cat sometimes will meow back at me. Or I speak to my phone when it's beeping and I want it to stop making noises, but it doesn't stop unless I actually push the buttons. Jesus says, "Peace, be still." Or maybe he said, "Quiet, be still," to the wind and the waves. And you know what happened? Instead of the boat rocking and rolling in the waves, everything got quiet. The Bible says it was calm. And here's a really interesting part. The disciples were afraid of the storm, and then the Bible says they were terrified. And they asked themselves a question, which is the question I want to leave you with while you listen to Pastor Tim and you are using your crayons or writing utensils and paper and coloring and thinking and listening to more about this story. They said, "Who is this Jesus that even the wind and the waves obey him?"
Mark 4:35 through 41. That day, when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was, in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up and rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. Mark 4:35 through 41.